back with another episode of the crossover. Your host Ravi and B, and this week we're going to talk with the hometown team. We don't get to speak about them much in this case unless it's playoff time, but your Toronto Raptors, and specifically the great start that Demar DeRozan has gotten off to this year. I think it's definitely warrants a discussion. He's always a topic amongst between us, Ravi, as well as others of our clique in this case here. So I mean, as me as I'll admit in this case here, I've always liked DeRozan's game a lot more than say some others, and fans of the team, and we have our discussion with all the fellas on the boards in this case about DeRozan. I think in this case here, I think you used the word just now, vindicated, justified, wherever the case may be. That that there was the potential is there. Not only just that, but just like even if he doesn't even play the way he ends up playing the rest of the year, he's an impact player, and I think people didn't realize what they had, and I think you're seeing this now kind of blossom now, to a player that probably even surpassed my thoughts of how good he could be, and I'm happy to see that. Obviously, it's great for the Raptors, but quickly I say my thoughts on how he's scoring the ball is really, and he's always been an underrated playmaker. I think because I mean, even look last year's stats, he was about 4 assists a game. For a two guard, it's not too shabby. Unless you're a particular type of two guard where you're always handling the ball like a Harden, so your assist numbers will go up. But if you're a typical two guard, like say a Klay Thompson, 4 assists a game is a pretty respectable number in this case here. And I think he's probably hovering around that. I think it's a big assist lower, but nonetheless, he has sometimes he does set up the play that sets up the play for the score, and his ability to penetrate and just create havoc on offense. He gets the lane where he wants to. We were talking about earlier yesterday about how the same shots are there. He's just found a way to kind of really just calm down, slow the game down. He's scoring with such ease. Where he knows where to find his shots now. He's not forcing things in there. Pretty much he's used it. Pretty much in a way he's kind of spiting the analytics crowd. There's a lot of discussion in all parts of the world about data right now. And how and hey, let's put it this way: I dig into data in this case, all the time for a living and just for fun. In this case, data is important, no two ways about it. But I guess there's questions happening in different fronts. Obviously, we had in a political sense just a few days ago, but also a sports sense about kind of like where is data going? How can we trust data? And DeMar DeRozan is another example of just bucking the trend of the data. And everyone tells you, that mid-range shot nowadays is no good shot. Well, he said he's exploiting a lot of these data analytics, groups in this case that every team has, and say, okay, that's a shot you say is not a good shot. I'm going to go and use that shot to my advantage because I know pretty much everyone's playing back on that mid-range jump shot. And all he did over the summer was work on that. And now it's a shot that he knows that when the playoffs comes, when he started seeing it last year, is that they'll give you that shot. And he's like, no, that's a shot I want. And he's just killing dudes in this case. He's shooting over 50%, it's like 56%, I think for the season. 51% again tonight, 14 of 26. I mean, it just looked good, man. Sorry, I've said my piece, man. What are your thoughts, man?
Hey, man, no argument from me. I think, we had discussed it offline yesterday, but I think I like his decisiveness. I think he was decisive last season, but even more so this season. Mm-hmm. He's decisive with his first step, with his moves. I don't see a lot of dribbling left to right with the ball. It's straight north-south.
Yeah.
I see him. I like the way he's finishing more and more with contact. Obviously, the mid-range, as you just touched on. And I mean, just to kind of touch on that, obviously, the last couple seasons with the play of Golden State, especially with Steph, everyone wants to shoot the long ball. Now, teams, I mean, this is where following trends gets you in trouble. Because unless you have a Steph Curry, right. you don't need to shoot the long ball.
Right.
Unless you have Kobe and Shaq or Jordan and Pippen, don't try to run the triangle. Everything isn't for everyone.
Right.
And I think that's where a lot of teams get in trouble. So I like the fact, like you said, going back to the analytics, in terms of mid-range game, I really can't think of another player in the league right now that has a better mid-range game than DeRozan.
Well, I would go one step further. How many guys in the league have a mid-range game to talk about?
Very true.
I count probably 5, and I'm really pushing it if I count 5. of like guard / small forwards. It's like yeah, maybe 5. I mean. Yeah,
it's a short list.
Yeah, a short list. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And most of those guys are more what we consider old guard guys, right? Because 2 of them in my head, LeBron and Wade, and about 3 or 4 years, they're not in the league anymore. So when you think about it, how many guys in this case of this generation are really guys that have that type of game?
Correct.
Correct.
So and I mean, obviously his play leading the league at 34 points a game. Mm-hmm. And you touch on his percentage, shooting, his efficiency with the scoring, and I mean, same with me. I think he's exceeded my expectations in terms of viewing him as a certain type of scorer. Mm-hmm. I mean, I knew occasionally he was good for that occasional 40-point game outburst. I've always had him pegged around that 22 to 25 mark.
Which is nothing to sneeze at, by the way.
No. Exactly. There's nothing to sneeze at. Which is nothing to sneeze at. But
I always tell you, 22 to 25 point per game scores don't fall on trees, drop on trees.
Very, very true. Very true. But I mean, it just goes to show. I mean, that's a credit to how good he's playing right now, right? Yeah. I mean, he's averaging 10 more points than that. So. Yeah. I love the way he started. He started off in the first 8 games of the season. I think Raptors are 6-2 after tonight's game. I think so. It's about a 3-way tie, I think, for second place right now in the East after you know who. Yeah. But they could very well be 7-1. I mean, that game from with the Kings kind of got away there, but
the Cavaliers game was a tied game with about a minute left.
And that was a tied game. Yeah. And that was just lack of execution and rebounding and
then Irving's 3.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. It was a 3-point win. I mean, that shows you. They're easily the second best team in the league. I mean, barring injuries, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's no question. I think you and I both said that. And just before we came on air, I said I feel vindicated with all the pundits, all the experts. Everyone overlooking the Raptors, despite what they did last season. And going for the trendy pick with Boston, and I think Boston right now is 4-4. Mm-hmm. Down there in the standings, looking up. So, it's one of those things where you just got to keep on pushing, and once you win, they're going to pay attention.
Yeah, it's early. We know that it's early.
It's early. It's
but
early.
I think the Raptors have shown that they're a consistent team that's going to be up there and challenging. They didn't seem to have any fear of Cleveland. And I think, do I think they're going to beat Cleveland? No, but I think they're the team, in my mind, is the most likeliest team to really go at Cleveland.
Well, I mean, I don't think there's too much fear given, given how they played them last season. They won the season series, if I'm not mistaken, last year. They had they gave them a run in the playoffs. They ran out of steam at the end, obviously, and then. They had a good showing in their first matchup, so I don't think, I don't think that there's that intimidation factor or anything like that with Cleveland. So again, I'm sticking to my our preview in the last show. I'm going with Toronto and Cleveland in the East Finals again.
Likewise. One last point to DeRozan, and I think you kind of subtly mentioned it, is that it's the game slowed down for him, but he seems to have he knows how to attack based on the matchup more so now. I think compared to even just 2 years ago. Last year, I think he started figuring out a little bit, but in the playoffs, he saw some regression on that front. Mm-hmm. This year, he knows exactly. If I got a small man in the post, and be it if he's got the green light, which I suspect that was the case, more so than Casey calling out plays, because the moment he's got any guy that's about smaller than him, which he's a 6'7" dude, so there's a lot of guards are going to be smaller than him. In the post, he goes. I said it last year. I'll say it again. He's their best post player. All right. I always thought in this case they should run more offense through the post to get more open looks. I know the JV fans saying, more touches for JV in the post. If I have my choice between DeRozan in the post or JV throwing the ball in the post, I'll take DeRozan in the post any day of the week. Because I know one of 3 things are going to happen. A, he's going to score. B, he's going to score and draw a foul. Or C, he's going to kick it out to someone for an open 3 in this case, and he knows to deal with double teams. JV in this case still doesn't really know to read double teams. I can't guarantee he can finish in this case consistently for scoring. And there's no guarantee he can finish through contact to get the foul and 1. So I would take my chances with the point guard, the 2 guard in this case that has the post-up game to do so. I even noticed now that tonight they're doing this much more too, which I'm glad to see. Once again, I think Lowry has the green light as well too. They're playing smarter ball. Post up Kemba Walker. So this is another facet back to our data situation and stuff like that. Folks don't post up anymore. This is another loss.
Yeah, I mean, it's
the Raptors are like a team for the '90s in this case. In some ways, it's like whoa, post plays. What is this?
Yeah, the lack of plays down low on the block is it's I wouldn't say it's surprising.
Dude, it's like a strike. It's like a postal strike down there, my friend, man. It's like a postal strike down there. Ain't no one on the block anymore. Nobody.
Yeah, you definitely have to take advantage of matchups. Take the smaller guards down there and just go to work on them.
Yeah, there's like a dozen dudes in the league that really legitimately post people up. Be it guard to center. Maybe a dozen. I might extend it to 20. You get past that, that's about it. No one else is posting up anybody.
Exactly.
So the Raptors in some ways are a very hard team to deal with because they are kind of retrograde. They're not fancy. We're flying around. They shoot their sense. Hey, they go for their sense of threes too. There's no two ways about that. But they seem to have some other, bullets in the chamber that you try that a lot of other teams don't do. Including the mighty Warriors in this case, which still really don't have no post players.
No.
Up to now, they still hit. They might think about getting one over the summer, but they decided not to do that. So,
hey man, we've I've actually looked at. I think there was they played Denver tonight.
Oh, they roasted Denver the night before.
Night before, yeah. So I saw those highlights today.
Yeah.
I saw who did they light up?
They lit up Dallas. That's what they did. They put it on. They put it on my team.
It was Dallas and the Pelicans. They've been putting
it on some teams lately.
They've been playing on some teams, but again, like I said, when new evidence presents itself, and new evidence presented itself last year in the playoffs and throughout the finals, and I shouldn't say new evidence because it was there to a certain extent the year before, but they
were circumstantial. To take your analogy one further, it was circumstantial evidence. But in this case, we found the bloody gun. In this case, we found the fingerprints of the gun at this point at the end of the season. You can see it.
We found the prints on the gun.
Exactly, we found the prints on the gun.
Golden State, you guys, they're going to win a lot of games in the regular season.
Oh.
But, we're going to see what happens come May.
I tell you, Halle Berry, Sidney Crawford got nothing on them, but all Revlon team right now, boy. Let me tell you this, man. These dudes, man, I'm sitting there, they're joking and yucking it up. I was like, okay, we're yucking it up, huh? You look a lot like last year, boy. Let me tell you something. With a thinner team and still no post players. And at least last year, that Bogut they throw it down to just to keep people honest. They got nothing down there. Maybe Iguodala might be the best post-up player they got right now on the team.
We'll see what surprises they have in store.
True. This is about the Raps right now.
Because I'm looking at another team out west right now that all the parts don't seem to fit, and that's the San Antonio Spurs.
Oh boy, hey. There could be some movements at deadline time, my friend.
Correct, because Gasol's not fitting in there so far. And Aldridge is. I don't think he's fully comfortable either. So I say look for Gasol or Aldridge, one of them, to be on the move at some point this season.
All right, you heard it here first from Ravi, man. Anyway, folks, man, where can the good folks find you, Ravi?
You guys can find me at Ravi Narayan on Instagram,
and you can find me as always at Beyond Locker Room, short form RM, folks. Take care, be safe out there, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Peace.